Have you ever had a roommate that gave you chills? This is the story of my horrifying experience. It all started when I moved into a new apartment with a roommate I found online. At first, everything seemed normal as I settled into my new home. Things started to change when I began noticing odd things around the apartment. Small objects would move on their own, and I heard footsteps at night. My roommate Lucas was rarely home, but I felt like I was never alone. I began to feel watched, even when I was alone in the apartment. One night, I woke up to find Sarah standing over my bed, her eyes wide open but unseeing. Her presence became more unsettling, and my sleep was plagued with nightmares. I began to investigate and found out that Lucas had a dark past that he never mentioned. Old newspaper clippings revealed he was involved in a mysterious disappearance. Confronting Lucas led to a terrifying revelation that changed everything. Lucas admitted to seeing spirits and claimed they followed her. After the confrontation, the paranormal activity in the apartment intensified. I started seeing shadowy figures and hearing whispers at night. One night, I woke up to a terrifying scene. Lucas was gone, but the spirits remained. I could feel a cold presence and hear chilling whispers surrounding me. After that night, Lucas disappeared, and the apartment felt even colder and emptier. I never saw Lucas again, but the nightmares and the feeling of being watched never left me. Sometimes the past haunts us in ways we can never escape. Roommates are supposed to share space, not secrets. This is the story of my horrifying experience. When I moved into the apartment, I was excited to start fresh. My new roommate, Daniel, seemed normal at first. Daniel was friendly and we got along well. We even threw a small housewarming party. Things started to get strange when I noticed Daniel would often lock himself in his room for hours. He never talked about what he did in there, and I began to feel uneasy. One night I heard strange noises coming from Daniel's room. It sounded like chanting. My curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to take a peek inside. Daniel was performing some kind of ritual. He had drawn symbols on the floor and was muttering in an unknown language. I was terrified but couldn't look away. When Daniel saw me, his eyes were filled with an unnatural intensity. Daniel confronted me angrily, demanding to know why I was spying on him. I stammered an excuse and retreated to my room. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing whispers and felt like I was being watched. I decided to investigate Daniel's past. What I found was deeply disturbing. Daniel had been involved in several incidents where his previous roommates had gone missing. I realized I was living with a dangerous person. I needed to get out, but I had to be careful. Before I could leave, Daniel caught me. He seemed to know that I had discovered his secret. I had to come up with a plan to escape without arousing Daniel's suspicion. Late at night, while Daniel was performing another ritual, I made my move. Daniel realized I was gone and started searching for me. I could hear his footsteps getting closer. I managed to escape the building and called the police. They arrested Daniel, but the horror was far from over. Daniel was charged with multiple crimes, but the nightmares and the feeling of being watched never left me. I moved to a new city, but I could never shake the feeling that Daniel's influence was still with me. Be careful who you trust. Some people have secrets that are too dark to imagine. Even in my new apartment, I couldn't escape the nightmares. Every night, I dreamt of Daniel's rituals. I started seeing a therapist, hoping to find some peace, but the fear was deeply ingrained. One day, I received a letter with no return address. Inside was a photograph of me taken recently. It felt like Daniel was still watching me, even from prison. The police couldn't trace the letter. I decided to move again, this time to a different state, hoping to finally escape the shadows of my past. The new place was remote, and I hoped the distance would keep me safe. One night I woke up to find someone standing at the foot of my bed. It was Daniel. I couldn't believe it. How had he found me? My heart raced as he moved closer.
I managed to fight him off and called the police. Daniel was taken away, but the fear lingered.
I decided to learn self-defense and take control of my life. The nightmares became less frequent. Daniel's influence never fully left me, but I became stronger. This was my story of survival. Be careful who you trust. Some people carry secrets that can change your life forever.
Roommates can be a blessing, or a curse. This is the story of my descent into madness. When I first moved in with Mark, he seemed like the perfect roommate. Quiet, clean, and respectful. Mark was a bit of a loner, but we got along well at first. After a few weeks, I started noticing changes in Mark's behavior. He became withdrawn and secretive. He spent hours locked in his room, and strange noises would come from behind the closed door. One day, I accidentally walked into Mark's room and found bizarre drawings and notes scattered everywhere. He caught me and his reaction was violent and terrifying. He screamed at me to get out. After that incident, I felt like I was being watched constantly. Paranoia began to creep in. I would hear whispers at night and see movement out of the corner of my eye. Mark's behavior grew more erratic. He would talk to himself and laugh maniacally at odd hours. I found myself unable to sleep, haunted by the strange occurrences in the apartment. I confided in a friend about my fears. They suggested I look into Mark's past. I discovered that Mark had been institutionalized before for violent behavior. As if learning about Mark's past had triggered something, the paranormal activity in the apartment worsened. I would wake up to find Mark standing at the foot of my bed, staring at me with blank eyes. I confronted Mark, demanding to know what was happening. His response was chilling. Mark claimed that the apartment was cursed, and that he was trying to protect me. I knew I had to leave, but Mark became increasingly possessive and violent. One night, as I was trying to sneak out, Mark attacked me. It was a fight for my life. I managed to escape and ran to the nearest police station, my heart pounding. The police arrested Mark, but I was left with deep psychological scars. I moved to a new city, hoping to rebuild my life, but the memories haunted me. Every noise, every shadow, reminded me of my ordeal with Mark. I sought therapy and support, trying to come to terms with what happened. My therapist suggested that confronting my fears, head-on, was the only way to heal. I decided to return to the old apartment one last time to face my fears. The place was abandoned, but the memories were vivid and haunting. Walking through the apartment, I realized that the power it held over me was only as strong as I allowed it to be. I performed a simple ritual to cleanse the space, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. Leaving the apartment for the last time, I felt a sense of closure and peace. I knew that I could move forward with my life, free from the shadows of the past. Roommates can change our lives in unexpected ways. Be cautious and trust your instincts. This was my true horror story. Stay vigilant, trust your instincts, and always prioritize your safety.
Thanks for joining us on this chilling journey into the dark secrets of a roommate's past. Stay tuned for more spine-tingling true stories from Nightmare Chronicles. Don't forget to show your support by liking and subscribing to our channel for more thrilling content.